What happened?
I don't want to talk.
They use those big lips to do two things. One is to cover racism up, and the other is to lie for them. Black people, anybody other than straight white dudes for Donald Trump are just photo.
White House coming out and making a statement saying that the gold card that Nicki Minaj received was a memento and not a visa in any way. No citizenship status in any way.
Whole room just laughed at her, and she thinks they're laughing with her after Trump made a financial jab at her and her financial situation.
They built the hype, they pushed the narrative, they flooded the internet with noise. But what if the loud support around Nicki Minaj wasn't real at all? And what if the same political spotlight that lifted her name is now quietly watching her drown in legal chaos, silence, and isolation? Hughley didn't whisper his warning. He threw it out there blunt, almost like he already knew how this would play out. He said the same crowd cheering for you today can disappear tomorrow. And now people are looking at Nicki Minaj's situation and realizing that warning is starting to look less like an opinion and more like a prediction. Because while the internet looked like it was roaring with support for her political stance, a new report came out that made everything look very different. Suddenly, people started asking a very uncomfortable question. What if that massive wave of support wasn't a wave at all? Behind the scenes, a tech analysis company started digging into the numbers around Nicki's political posts, and what they found made a lot of people stop and stare. According to the report, thousands of accounts hyping her up didn't look real. We're not talking about a few fake pages here and there. We're talking about over 18,000 suspected bot accounts. And at one point, more than half of the comments under some of those posts, around 56%, looked automated. Not real fans, not real people, just numbers, code, and artificial noise designed to look like support.
I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more.
Now step back and really look at the irony here. Nicki Minaj built her entire empire on the idea that her fan base is one of the most loyal armies in music. The Barbs don't play about her. That's been the image for years. But in this political moment, critics started noticing something strange. The online support looked huge, but it didn't feel organic. It didn't feel natural. It looked inflated, manufactured. And once that idea got into people's heads, everything started looking different. Every comment section, every repost, every trending moment. People began wondering how much of it was real and how much of it was just smoke. Because while all this loud online support was happening, real life was getting very real for Nicki Minaj. The legal drama that had been quietly sitting in the background suddenly started moving to the front of the stage. And that's when the story took another turn that made people raise their eyebrows even higher. Her attorney, Matthew Abbott, stepped away right in the middle of a $10 million lawsuit. Not at the end, not after things were resolved, right in the middle of it. And according to court filings, he claimed he couldn't even reach her anymore. Calls, messages, emails, nothing. Complete silence. Now that's where the story starts to feel
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. And I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in.
Because this wasn't just some random lawyer who didn't know her. Reports said he had ties to her broader professional circle. That means this wasn't a stranger-client situation. This was someone connected to the machine around her career. So when someone like that says communication completely broke down, people don't see that as a small issue. They see that as a sign that something behind the scenes might not be running smoothly at all. And the lawsuit itself is no small problem either. A man named Tomir Peak filed the case, accusing Nicki of making statements that he says damaged his reputation with serious allegations. He's asking for $10 million. That's not a social media argument. That's not internet drama. That's a courtroom problem. And courtroom problems don't disappear just because the internet moves on to the next trending topic. But here's where the political part of the story starts to look very different. When Nicki stepped into that political spotlight and publicly supported Trump, the internet exploded. Headlines everywhere, debates everywhere. Her name was suddenly in political conversations, not just music conversations. And for a moment, it looked like a powerful move, like she had entered a whole new arena with a whole new audience behind her. But then something strange happened. The noise faded. Trump stopped mentioning her. The political spotlight moved on. The internet found new drama to talk about. But Nicki was still standing there dealing with lawsuits, lawyer problems, and a public image that was now tied to political controversy. And that's exactly what Dale Hughley was talking about. He said some political movements love putting a famous face out front when it helps them. It looks good, it sends a message. But the moment that celebrity becomes complicated or messy or not useful to the narrative anymore, they move on fast. And when they move on, they don't take the problems with them. The celebrity is left holding all of it alone. Then Nicki jumped back into the internet battlefield again, this time going after California Governor Gavin Newsom after clips of his speech started circulating online. He had been talking about his struggles with dyslexia, talking about school, talking about his SAT score, telling a personal story. But once the clip hit the internet, the story changed. People started framing it differently. Critics started attacking. Supporters started defending. And then Nicki added her voice to the fire, and the situation exploded all over again. Dale Hughley immediately pushed back on that too. He said the clip people were angry about didn't even show what they were claiming it showed. He argued the moment was being twisted online and questioned why Nicki jumped into the attack so fast when the full context was still being debated. And then he went even further. He started talking about selective outrage, about how in politics, some people call out racism loudly when it helps their side, but stay quiet when the same behavior comes from people they support. And once he said that, the conversation stopped being just about Nicki. It became about credibility, about consistency, about what happens when a celebrity steps into politics and suddenly everything they say gets examined under a microscope. Because that's the part nobody tells celebrities before they jump into political wars. Once you pick a side publicly, every statement you make from that moment forward gets checked, compared, and judged. Every old clip gets pulled up. Every tweet gets reread. Every silence gets noticed. And right now, Nicki Minaj is learning what that spotlight really feels like. Legal pressure on one side, political backlash on another side, internet debates everywhere, and the loud online support that once looked massive is now being questioned after those bot reports. So now the big question floating around this whole situation is simple, but heavy. Is Nicki Minaj actually in control of this situation, or is this situation now in control of her? Because what's happening now doesn't look like a controlled media strategy anymore. It looks like someone trying to fight battles on 3 different fronts at the same time: politics, legal issues, and public opinion. And the dangerous part about that kind of pressure is that it doesn't explode all at once. It builds quietly, one headline at a time, one court date at a time, one lost ally at a time. Right now, Nicki Minaj isn't just fighting critics on the internet, she's fighting timing. And timing is everything when your name is constantly in the news for the wrong reasons. The bot allegations made people question the authenticity of her political support. The lawyer stepping away made people question what's happening behind the scenes legally. The lawsuit reminded everyone that real-world consequences don't disappear just because the internet moves on. And the political figures she loudly supported, they're not standing next to her in the middle of this storm right now. And that's where Dale Hughley's warning starts to sound less like criticism and more like a harsh reality about how power works. He basically said that when celebrities enter political spaces, they sometimes think they're entering as partners, but in reality, they're entering as tools for messaging, tools for optics, tools for headlines. And once the headline changes, the tool gets put down and replaced with a new one. If you look at the timeline, it's actually kind of chilling. First, the political rally moment happens and her name is everywhere. Then the internet hype explodes. Then the bot report comes out and suddenly that hype looks suspicious. Then the lawsuit starts getting more attention. Then her attorney steps away. Then she jumps into another political argument online. And now the conversation around her name isn't about music, success, or achievements anymore. It's about controversy, legal problems, and political drama. That's a very dangerous shift for any celebrity, especially one whose brand was built on dominance, control, and being 10 steps ahead of everyone else. Because image is everything when you're a global star. And right now, the image being painted in headlines is not the image she spent years building. What makes this situation even more complicated is that Nicki has never been a quiet celebrity. She responds, she posts, she speaks, she defends herself. And that worked for her in the music industry because controversy in music can actually fuel popularity. But politics and courtrooms are different arenas. You don't win those battles with fan loyalty and trending hashtags. You win those with strategy, timing, and silence at the right moments. And a lot of observers are starting to say that the real problem here might not be any single controversy by itself. It's the combination of all of them happening at the same time. Because one scandal can be managed, one lawsuit can be handled, one political controversy can be survived. But when all three hit at once, that's when even very powerful celebrities start to look vulnerable. There's also another layer to this story that people keep whispering about, but not always saying loudly, and that's the people around her. When a star reaches Nicki Minaj's level, they don't move alone. There are managers, lawyers, advisors, publicists, business partners, an entire machine designed to protect the brand and keep everything running smoothly. So when a lawyer suddenly says communication has broken down, people don't just see a legal issue, they see a possible breakdown in the machine itself. And when the machine around a superstar starts to shake, that's when real problems can start. Because at that level of fame, isolation can become very real, very fast. The higher the celebrity, the fewer people they trust. The fewer people they trust, the smaller the circle becomes. And the smaller the circle becomes, the easier it is for problems to grow without anyone stopping them early. That's why this story feels bigger than just Nicki Minaj is in another controversy. This feels like a moment, a turning point, the kind of moment where a career either stabilizes and rebuilds, or starts sliding into a phase where every new headline makes the last one look worse. Because if the lawsuit escalates, if more legal issues appear, if more reports about fake online support come out, and if political allies continue to stay silent, then this won't just be a controversy anymore. This will turn into a full-blown public image crisis. And the most dangerous part of a public image crisis is that it doesn't destroy you overnight. It happens slowly, while you're still famous, while you're still rich, while you're still visible. But the respect starts to shift. The headlines start to change tone. The support starts to get quieter. And by the time most celebrities realize what's happening, the narrative about them has already been rewritten. So now the situation around Nicki Minaj isn't just entertainment news anymore. It's a story about power, politics, loyalty, and what really happens when a celebrity steps into a world that doesn't play by music industry rules. And the question hanging over this entire situation right now is not whether Nicki Minaj is famous enough to survive this. The real question is whether she understood the game she was stepping into before she